there's exceptions to this, I'm sure, but as a natural bodybuilder trying to maximize his potential to build the most amount of muscle that he can build or she can build, do you think that this, I know numbers are relative in terms of how much someone is lifting, but I've seen really, really strong natural bodybuilders. And then I've seen other natural bodybuilders that aren't anywhere near the numbers that other bodybuilders lifting. But this one, the one that's lifting less in terms of load, overall load, if we're talking, let's just say example, like squat, bench, deadlift, those kind of lifts. This one is more impressive. The one that is actually not as strong from a physique standpoint. Yeah, I've seen both sides, and I'm like, well, what's your thoughts on that?
Because the thing about lifting is it is a skill, right? And how many people are out there that have, you know, tremendous physiques, but yet they can't squat, they can't deadlift, you know, they don't have the coordination for it, you know, just for lack of a better term, they sometimes look like a monkey humping a football when they're trying to squat a barbell, you know? Yes. So there's a lot of skill that goes along with that. And arguably, like for me, I'm not super2 you know. My legs should be arguably bigger for what it is that I can squat and deadlift, but I'm doing that 2 and 3 times a week. I'm really freaking good at it, you know? Right. And so, yeah, I'm arguably stronger than some people that have a lot better physique than I do, who can't do those kind of things, you know? But even at that, you're going to find that those folks are strong at what they do. You know what I mean? They're really strong if, you know, maybe they can, I don't know, maybe they can hold on to a couple 100-pound dumbbells like we were talking about before and split squat that thing like a dozen times, you know? Right. Which is a bit of a skill in itself, you know? Or, you know, if they're using machines, for example, I mean, how many people are out there that they're using some pretty darn good technique and they're using the whole freaking stack, you know, on certain movements, you know, and they got special made pins, you know, where they're kind of hanging plates off of there and testing the limits of those cables that are attached in that attachment to that weight stack. They're strong at doing that, you know, and I'm not talking swinging and using all kinds of momentum, but good quality repetitions, you know. There's a lot. I can't do the whole stack. I can't do the whole stack on some of those things, you know? So they're, I can almost guarantee that they're strong at what it is that they do, you know, because that's kind of how we respond to weight training to begin with. You know, your body really doesn't care about growing muscle. That's the side effect, right? Right. What it knows is, oh my gosh, that's heavy, you know, and I don't want that to be heavy anymore. And that's kind of the direct response to it. And so, yeah, I feel like that there's things behind the lines that we're never necessarily going to know that's built that natural physique, right? You know, I mean, you can't just arguably throw weight around either. You know, you've got to work the muscle that it is that you're trying to work. You got to make that muscle, you know, lift the load, you know, and then you start talking about different body makeups. You know, like I was talking about that gap right there in my bicep. My son cannot figure out to this day why his arms are bigger than mine. His arms are 16 and mine are like 15 3/4. He's like, how? Well, he didn't have that gap. You know, his bicep attaches way down there, probably beyond his elbow, you know? Wow. And so when you start talking about body parts and how they attach to certain muscles, you know, there's some people that can probably curl a whole ton of weight with good form simply because of how their biceps attach to their forearm. You know what I mean? And so they might be really, really strong with that. Whereas other people, they can't just because of how their attachments are, you know, and things like that. I think people whose glutes attach way down, like near the middle of their femur, you know, I think those are the people that can really run fast. You know, I don't know why that is, but when you've got that much distance for that glute to contract, I think that generates a whole lot of force. And so now you're talking about infinite amounts of different ways that muscles can attach to muscles or to bones that, you know, make a person stronger than somebody else, much less how it looks, right? When it comes to building muscle, you don't have to have quite as much protein if you're in a surplus. Right. Boy, it sure does. The body composition sure does look a whole lot better you know, when we are having higher protein while we're being in that surplus, you know, and I don't even think we know yet why that is, but yeah, it's just, that's the big thing is when people are in a surplus, I kind of like